All right, it's recording. So, okay, to summarize what I said, okay? So the Student Government Association has two bodies, the Executive Board and the Student Legislative Assembly. The Executive Board controls funds, $200,000, and participates in committees that allocate or that manages millions of dollars, like the Tech Fee, Auxiliary Enterprises, and the Lehman College Association for campus activities. And on the other hand, the SLA, the Student Legislative Assembly, they don't manage any money. They participate in legislation, changes to how things are done at Lehman, what kind of programs we have, admissions, and so on. And they do that through these different standing committees. All right. There is 33 senators in total for, sorry, 34. It's 33 senators plus the vice president or the chair of SLA. While in the executive board, we have 13 officers plus these other members, USS representatives and so on, and the vice chair of SLA also, and 4 senators and so on. All right, so that's the difference, okay? Why is important to know this difference? It's because if you are a senator, you could participate in the executive board as is said here, but your main concern should be about legislation and legislating and changing and working with the Senate. It shouldn't be about creating programs or events. That is the focus of the executive board. On the other way around too, the executive board should not focus on policy, or at least not in the policy that is discussed in the Senate. Now, you are at a single group. Of course, one has to know what the other is doing, okay? But when it comes to voting, the executive board votes for budgets, the senators vote for legislation. And hopefully we keep that separate. It's not that you don't have to communicate with each other. You have to be aware of what's happening in each of the bodies, but understand what is your role within the organization, okay? All right. Okay, so any questions so far? I know I went briefly about that, all of this really. What I said is detailed here in this document, okay? And this is what I'm going to go through next, the budgetary committees in more detail. Any questions regarding structure? No? All right, if you have, we can go through there. Okay, so this is the new section that you don't have in the document that I sent you. Budgetary committees, that means these three in particular, the technology fee, auxiliary enterprises, and the Lehman College Association. And I'm going to be talking about, I know that this might not be of the interest of the senators, but it is, because 4 senators will be participant in the executive board, and you could participate in these committees. So if you're a senator and you want to be in those committees and decide for those budgets, then start thinking about being part of the executive board. There is, like I said, 4 senators participate in the executive board, so you have to volunteer yourself to be that, okay? And you will decide that later in your meeting, in your first meeting for the SLA. Anyways, so like I said, there is these 3 major committees that handle a lot of money, and they are all similar, okay? Like I said, they collect fees alongside your tuition for, let's start with one, the student activities fees, which is, I think, the most important one. Okay, so from the student activities fees comes really most of what you see on campus is paid with this fee. In terms of student affairs, My salary is paid with student activities fees. All the programs in student affairs, athletics, um, um, campus life, of course, career services, veterans affairs, disability services, all of those offices, their budgets, at least mainly, their main budgets come from the student activities fees. And your budget, the student government budget, the budget that you control, the $200,000 that I was referring to, comes from these student activities fees. So it's very important. Now, I wanted to share, I'm not going to go through all of what I've written here. I'm going to share this document with you guys, but I want you to understand a few things. One thing is that for the student activities fees, there are several regulations. There are several documents that define how those committees, that committee has to work, how that money can be used. It's very regulated, and it can be cumbersome to know what those documents are. So I refer them here. I have a bunch of links that you can look at. And so the basic thing is that the student activities fees only has these 11 categories that can be spent on, all right? And it's everything but academic. If we can keep it simple, everything but academic. Anything that you can think of that is non-academic probably is funded by the student activities fees. Nate, yes. Yeah. Oh, sorry, did I?
Real quickly, the directors, a couple of directors that work in the campus activities and purchasing office are eager to meet with you this summer. So as we set dates for the rest of the summer, you'll continue to get guidance not only from us, but also from the Office of Campus Activities and Purchasing. That way we can iron out any potential issues before we even start to do any purchases. Okay, I just wanted to throw it out there.
And just to add a little bit to what Nate said and what David is saying, all the committees that you are going to be asked to be placed on, all of them are not created equally. Okay, let me just be honest with you. There are some committees that it's okay, you know, whatever, you're in there, you make a vote, now they have bananas in the cafeteria, sure. But then a committee like the budget one, this one, the association one, those are big deal committees. You can decide that you guys are voting on our budget, the office budget, which is over $500,000. And so this is not monopoly money. It's very serious. You're voting on the apex. This student government experience is a really, really good experience because you're practicing weighing priorities for the school. You can figure out, should the food pantry get funding? So this is a really important one. And David put those links in there because there are, like, you can read up on it after, you know, whenever you want to.
That's right. So so when you participate in this committee, well, let me put it this way: all the committees receive proposals, budget proposals, and the board, the members of the committee, what they do is just simply review the proposals and they approve accordingly with the budget that they have. That's basically what they do. They just review proposals. Okay, but the issue comes is when or the majority, the main issue is that you always receive, or these committees receive too many, or you know, the requested monies that they want for the college wants for their programs does not fit the current budget. Okay, and so they have to either cut or not approve, you know, certain proposals, and that's when you come in. You will be giving your opinion regarding some of these proposals and whether or not they are beneficial to the students, or whether or not, you know, let's say there is a proposal for I don't know, let's say changing the water fountains around campus, let's say, and they are proposing to spend $100,000 on that, right? Now you might think, okay, you know, we do need new water fountains, but how does that compare to other priorities that the college has? Is that more important than mental health services? Is that more important than you know, career services? How important is that? Is it worth $100,000 to spend now? Can we allow that? And so those are the questions that you will be asking yourself when you are in this committee. And it's important because, like I said, it supports a lot of the services that are non-academic are supported with these fees. And so if something is not funded through here, it will probably not be funded at all. Anyways, it follows. I want you to, if you can, this fees follows this handbook, the CUNY Fiscal Handbook for the Control and Accountability of Student Activities Fees. There is a link. It's 200 pages of content, but only the first 30 are relevant really for you guys. And it says, what can you spend this money on? And that applies to your own budget in student government. Like, what can student government spend money on? Like, you cannot be just, you know, giving away your money like you are, you know, you have certain responsibilities and there's certain restrictions about what the money can be used for. And that is all specified here. Key information, like I said, or, you know, you review proposals. So the campus will send you proposals and you know, discuss those proposals. You are dealing with public funds and you have to follow state law. And because these are public funds, they also have to follow this open meetings law. And let's talk about this a little bit, the open meetings law. So because this open meetings law requires all the meetings that this committee is holding to be publicly advertised and publicly available. And it not only applies to the association, but it applies to you guys, to the student government, to the Senate, to not only the student activities, but also to the tech fee. And it also applies to the auxiliary enterprise, because you are dealing with public funds and it's in the public interest. So you must advertise your dates. And so I put a link to that particular law if you want to read it.
May I just interject a little bit? So when David says it's public funds, what this is every single Lehman student pays an activities fee. I think it's like $100 or something. All that money comes up to like a little over $1 million. And then that money is allocated throughout the campus. Now, any program that you are doing on campus, because this is what David just said is public money or public funds, it belongs to all the students. So you can't do a program and say, okay, well, it's just exclusive to one group. It has to be open to every single person. So our clubs, for example, is open to every single person. And an example of this is a lot of students wanted, like the Muslim Students Association around Ramadan, a lot of our students wanted to use the prayer room to pray, which is understandable. Like that's a big part of the religion, but we couldn't say you can use your prayer room only for Muslim students, only to pray. We had to say the room has to be accessible to everyone, because so even if you can pray in your room, sure, but the door has to be open if somebody wants to join. And even when you're a club, a lot of our club presidents didn't always model this, but your club has to be open to everyone. This is the reason we don't have we don't really allow fraternities and stuff on campus because fraternities are exclusive. They go through a process where you just belong to that group. So you cannot use the public funding for one particular group only. So when we're doing Leadership Center, we say that we give books out to everyone. When we're opening the pantry, any Lena student can apply. That's how your programs will have to be. And that's why when you're making your meetings, your student government meetings, you're going to be voting at a party for $5,000 of public funds. Has to be open to anyone. A faculty member can walk in, a staff member, any kid can walk in. So it's a public meeting. So I think what David is moving towards saying with putting that in there too is even, I don't know if you guys saw this, and if you didn't, there is no reason why you should pay attention to this. Maybe the senators did. The president's office just sent out a schedule of all the Senate meetings for the academic year. You may see AY, fiscal year. It's just acronyms. Academic years for CUNY runs from, is it July 1st to June 30th? That's an academic year. And so they usually send all the 10 meetings out, and that's what we are going to ask you to do. When we're done going through this section, a lot of this would be decide when your 10 meetings would be, and you have to put something out to the campus.
That's right. That's right. Actually, because the year is ending just now, we are in June. Your budget is going to kick in July 1st, but you should start thinking about what you're going to be using. What do you want this money to be used for? Okay. Right now, I think some budgets are being decided, and well, we'll talk about that later, actually. All right. Each association has something that I don't know if it's of your interest, but the student activities fees. Each college charges what they want. It could be different amounts. We're actually middle of the road when it comes to CUNY. We are charging about $100 per student per full-time student, but some other colleges charge 150 or even close to 200. And this can be changed, but only through student referenda. And we will not touch the student referenda today because it's too much. But anyways, each college association also has a bylaws similar to what the student government has. It has its own constitution. Just explaining the structure. And let me see. And the main point of one of the key points of the association is they have this budget committee, which is really the working committee of the association, which reviews all of these proposals, and they make a recommendation to the board. This budget committee is not the entire association. It's only, I believe it's only 4 students. Let me see if I typed in here. I don't think so. But anyways, it's 4 students, and it's a majority of the students. I think it's 4 students and 3 administrators. I don't remember. I should have wrote it here, but this budget committee is majority students. It would be 4 of you, and you will be doing most of the work in deciding and reviewing all of these budgets that budget proposals that come to the association. I forgot to say how much money the student activities, the association actually handles. I think it's close to 2 million now that I'm thinking. But anyways.
Yeah, it's 2 million, and this is public knowledge. It's on their website. I just attached the budget that they allocated last year, so you can see just how much money that goes to the whole campus. If you want to just skim it, I mean, there's not going to be a test. It's just a FYI.
All right. Similarly, from like the student activities fees, there is a technology fee, and pretty much follows a similar structure. There is the college president is the head of this committee, and there is 3 or more students and an equal or lower amount of faculty and administrative staff. So usually, and I've seen this their documents. Usually we have like 10 students participating in this committee. But it's a minimum of 3, all right? It controls just about 3,500,000. And similarly, like the student activities fees, it has a specific purposes defined in 11 categories, I guess. I think if I want to summarize the tech fee, it only pays for technology requests that serve students directly. Okay, I know that the college, of course, we're all geared towards helping students, but the technology fee cannot pay for an administrator's computer, for instance, because that computer is going to be used by the administrator only. And I know that let's say that could be me, right? That computer is not going to be used by the students directly. They might help the student, you know, maybe it will do my job easier, and so more, I could be more efficient in serving students, but the computer is not serving the students directly. So that's what I want you to understand with this tech fee. It has to serve, it only pays for technologies that serve students directly, like computer labs, okay? The libraries, the digital libraries that the library has to pay. There is a subscription. It is paid through here, and many other things. Those are the 2 that I came into my mind. And of course, I uploaded. They have like a constitution, which you can find in this link, and the tech fee plan from previous years. Okay, so there is not so much difference between the technology fee in terms of a structure and the student activities fees, okay? The only difference is that the student activities fees pays for more, I guess, important services than, well, I won't say important, but there is so much more services paid by the student activity fees than the technology fee. Technology fee goes to software a lot of times and so on. Anyways. And lastly, the auxiliary enterprise. Now, this is not a fee. These are the revenues that come from, from vending machines, cafeteria, parking, childcare, etc., etc. Okay, so all of those funds, all of those revenues go to this entity, which is a separate organization from Lehman, and they are in charge also not only of managing the budget of those services, but also controlling those services as well. So if you're talking about, let's say, the cafeteria is contracted by the auxiliary enterprise and not Lehman College. So, so the vendor, whoever is there, or the bookstore, let's say, the bookstore, the company that sets, that rents pretty much the space on campus, signs a contract with the auxiliary enterprise. So all of those, vending machines, ATM machines, parking, everything is managed through the auxiliary enterprise. And the purpose is that all of those services that, of course, help the college community, because people need to eat and people need to, sodas, whatever, or parking. Those are services that are needed for the college, and they are supposed to be self-sufficient. They need to pay for themselves. So the salaries of the cooks, of whoever is, in the bookstore, manning the bookstore, the manager, all of those are supposed to be paid with the revenues that they generate from their service, okay? And whatever is left over, whatever is extra, the auxiliary enterprise decides what to invest that into the college. It has to be invested into the college, even though this is a separate entity from the college. they are bound to utilize those monies for the college. It could be really anything, but
If Aria has a good question. Who are the two independent members?
So people who are not really they're not student, they're not hired by Lehman or by CUNY actually. The definitions are actually set into let's take a look at one actually. Let me see. Let's say this one.
Objective, right, Dave? Like O'Day Happy was one of the independent members.
Right. So I have this open. I have actually several documents open, but auxiliary enterprise. This is the guidelines. It's a long document. But if I find independent, I know that there is a definition. Well, I don't know. Right now, you caught me by surprise, but these people are chosen by the president directly.
Yeah.
And not are really appointed, but they have to have this. There is a guidelines for who qualifies as an independent director or member, and it's true for all of these three. They all have independent directors, as far as I know. I don't think the technology actually has an independent director, as far as I read it, but the auxiliary and the Lehman College Association, they do, and they're chosen by the president.
Yeah, I agree, Jada. I think that they are nominated, but they have to accept the positions. But that's right. A good point. Like we can look into it. I'm writing down the question, so we'll follow up with information too. So don't worry.
All right. So so in the auxiliary we have at least 4 students. Okay, it might be more. The auxiliary and the student activities fees, the association, they are defined by CUNY. So we have to follow CUNY policy, but they set standards and it's only a minimum. It could be more at Lehman. Okay. All right. Any questions regarding those 3? I know that was a lot of me saying a lot of stuff, talking non-stop pretty much.
It's going to make sense once you are looking at it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Just understand that these 3 are very important. You are deciding a substantial amount of money, and so your presence into the meetings of these bodies, it's kind of required. I think for all of them, if I'm not mistaken, they require student presence. Otherwise, they cannot move forward. Nadine?
Yeah, I just want to, sorry, it's really loud where I am. The importance is not being stressed enough of how important it is that students actually show up to these meetings, because first of all, they can't do any kind of work without students there. They don't have quorum. So if you're committing to do this, it needs to be a strong commitment, right? And then the other thing is that the senators, we haven't gotten to their committees yet, but I'm sure that's coming. They are required to go to like the school senate, SLE meeting, and then committee meeting. Like you have to do that to get paid. And for the e-board people, the executive board people who would be the people on these committees, that's what you should be considering it is a part of one of your monthly meetings so that you can get paid, because it's that essential. And the meetings aren't even actually every month. Sorry, I know it's really odd. The meetings aren't even every month, as opposed to like the SLA committee meetings are every month. But these committees, it's like the technology fee, they meet a couple times at the end of the year. So it's not even like the whole year that you're meeting. But that, I just want to like put it in that framework of like, if you're on the executive board and serving on one of these committees, you need to think of it as like, if I don't show up to this meeting, I'm not getting paid my monthly stipend, because that's like the gravity of what it needs.
Thank you, Nadine. Yes. differently from the committees that the Senate participates on. These committees, they don't meet every month, like Nadine said. They usually meet twice, 3 times per year. I think that some of them have some requirements, of course. I think the association requires, I think, twice, or I'm sorry, 4 times per year, I believe. But I'm not really sure. I have to review that. But they are not monthly for sure. Usually it's at the very beginning of the year, of the fiscal year, and then at the very end. Okay.
And if you're nervous about going to the meeting, I know that can be something too. You can meet with us. You can call Nate before you go to that association meeting if that's the committee you sign up for. Nate usually goes to these too, so you don't feel like, oh, I don't want to go into this cold. Or you should go onto the website. Make sure when you go in, you are prepared for your meeting.
All right. Let me see. Okay. All right. Let me go quickly because I haven't included into this document, but I know I made reference. Let me just bring this over here. Let's look at the Senate quickly. College Senate. Right. So for you senators, I told you that there were some defined definitions about the standing committees, Senate bylaws. All right, so I want you to look at this document. You have to read it on your own. I just wanted to point out that where is this, okay? If you didn't catch, it's, I don't know if I can make this bigger, but it's lehman.edu/college-senate. And then I went to governance documents, that's in the About Senate, and Senate bylaws, which is this, okay? And this is a small document, it only has 10 pages, but what is really important, I think, for you to read is the standing committees. This is the functions, and each committee is defined here. Here we go, it starts from here. Governance of Committee on Governance, and these are the specific functions that this committee does. And we can go on, Committee of Admissions and their functions, okay? You can see that, and it goes on for all of the, I believe it's 8 committees. Each of these has defined how many members they participate, how many members participate in each of these committees. Like for instance, in governance, 5 elected faculty, 3 students, and 1 administrator. And I think it's the same for most of them. 10 members, 6 faculty, 3 students, and 1 administrator. So please start reading this because senators, please start reading this and figure out what is it that you would like to participate on. You will not be, I believe the first meeting, the Senate meeting is in early September.
And it's in person. It's going to be in person, actually.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the president said.
The Senate's going to be in person.
Yes.
I'm sure
actually,
they may have, don't drop out yet. They may have an option. They may have an option, Ari, that you can do
I'm
it.
vaccinated. I'm good.
So this is a memorandum that, oh, well, it doesn't say anything about in person here, but
he just announced that in the last Senate, he said our next meeting will be in person, but I'm sure that they're going to have a hybrid option. Dave, I'm wondering if one of the senators, because we have some returning senators, if one of the senators want to talk just for a few minutes about the experience, because going to the monthly meeting is one thing, you show up to that, but before you show up to that, these committees, like David said, and in those committees, it's a really small meeting. It's usually like 5 people for most of them. There are some larger committees. And let's say you are on the Academic Freedom Committee, you may be talking about how professors, like rules about professors, or you may be voting on something or something that you care about. There is also a Campus Life Committee. One of the students who was on the Campus Life Committee said that something that he cared about was that he thought that at Golden Avenue, when he was walking by Kingsbridge, that it was really dark. And he wanted the school to put a security guard there, and he wanted to have more lights there. And that was a Campus Life issue in that committee, and that committee voted on it, and then it was brought to the largest Senate. When you get to the largest Senate meeting, which is the schedule David just showed you, usually that's not the place for discussion. The discussions happen in your smaller little committee meetings. So somebody asked, could we choose our committee? 100%. For the person who said your major was dietetics, food and nutrition, you definitely should choose something like Campus Life that aligns with what you care about. And then you can advocate with the cafeteria about healthy food or something like that. I'll go into the committee that when you read the descriptions of it, and the descriptions is on the website that David showed, that speaks to you. And then in those little committee meetings, that's when you vote and you speak up about things. Because when we go to the larger Senate, it's really people have already uploaded their documents and they're voting. They're saying a proposal was brought to us by the Academic Freedom Committee. Is it yes or no? Like, there is not room to do the work in that official committee. That's just a point of information. And I don't know if any of the committee members on here wants to share anything, because the majority of folks on this call are senators.
That's correct. If one of the senators would like to speak, just raise your hand. But what I want to say, like Suzette said, so what is your commitment as a senator? Every month you will meet at a minimum of 3 times. One with the larger Senate, another with your committee, and another with the SLA. Okay, so that's every month, starting in September. Actually, you will have a meeting during the summer where you're going to be choosing who's going to be the vice chair and who are going to be the 4 senators that are going to participate in the executive board. That has to happen during the summer. But for the most of the other months, it's 3 meetings per month. Like Suzette said, there is I think the most important meeting is with your committee. That's because all the research and discussions happen in this committee, in the committee meetings, and it's only a few members. Like for instance, this committee in Campus Life. It's 6 faculty, 3 students, and 1 administrator. These 3 students are going to be discussing, or they're going to be bringing the concerns of the students regarding any changes or improvements regarding campus life and facilities. And if they bring some change, and you are not an expert, let's put a different example. Let's say undergraduate curriculum. Of course, 3 students will be very difficult to represent the entire student body in terms of the different majors that we have, right? Maybe we have all 3 students are science majors, let's say, and they are discussing a change in I don't know, in the arts, or and so you may not be in touch of what's important. So even though you are a voting member in this committee, it's your responsibility to bring whatever issues that are brought into your committee to the SLA, okay, and say, hey, they are proposing to have to eliminate this course in the humanities, right? We don't know if that's a good decision or not, and so you discuss that with your fellow members in SLA. That's why you have that meeting, and then once you have a discussion and everyone is on the same page, all the student senators are in the same page, you go ahead into the Senate meeting and you vote as a group, in favor or against, or whatever it is that you guys decided. So that's why it's 3 meetings. The part where you do the research and the discussion is in the committee. Then you bring your report back to the larger student government Senate, the Student Legislative Assembly, about what's happening in your committee, and whether or not you guys are going to be presenting something to the larger Senate and how you guys should be voting. It's your responsibility to make everyone else aware of what's happening in your committee, so you can vote as a unit, okay? Any questions regarding this? Hopefully it's, so 3 meetings. The meetings for the Senate are these ones. Where is it? These meetings are the Senate meetings. That's where voting happens. The meetings, the dates for these committees are going to be decided with your input. So if you decide to participate in your undergraduate curriculum, they will take your name, they will ask you what is your availability, and they will arrange something with you. There is no set time for that. Yes?
That's not always the case. It's mostly the case, but there are some committee meetings like budget and long range planning that are set. So if you want to be on that committee, you have to commit to being available for those times. Like you have to know that you don't have conflicts with classes and whatnot, or know that you could be excused. But so most of them have student input on picking a time, but some of them don't.
Right. Thank you, Nadine.
I have a
So
question.
go ahead.
So I put it in the chat, but I just did some math and I see there's 24 seats for students to be on committees and there's 34 senators. I know we don't have everyone yet. So not everyone will sit on a committee, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I mean,
Well, that's ideally. That's ideally.
how many senators do we have right now?
We have 14.
Okay, so all of us are going to sit on committees.
Yeah, and some of you will probably sit in, well, if you want to. I think in more than one.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, so I wanted to point out also that I know somewhere in this page, that's where the meetings are scheduled. There we go, schedule of meetings. And I know, I'm not sure if it's in this same page, probably not. Oh, right here. Each committee has its own page, and they also publish when is their meetings. Now, this is information from last year. I can see Sumana, well, Nadine is here. But yeah, the dates and the information regarding the meeting is going to be published in each of these pages. This needs to be updated, of course, for this year, but it will be published here. And as Nadine said, which I didn't know, that some of these committees, you really cannot choose. They're less flexible in the arrangement of these meetings. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Felipe.
Thank you, David. Are the schedules already posted for these committee meetings so that we have a better clarity or an idea of when these meetings will happen, so that maybe we can have a better idea of our schedules and
Right.
Yeah.
So not yet. So the only thing that they have published is this one. This was published yesterday, June 3rd. So this is the generals to the General Senate. But the committees will be defined later.
And yeah, sorry, just there's usual times that usually a lot of meetings happen the Wednesday prior to school Senate, and this is something we can talk about in our actual SLA meeting when we go through it, because we can go in further depth about these actual committees and like have people who've actually served on them speak about what they actually look like, because this is a more general overview, because it is an SGA training instead of just like SLA. So when we go over that, I can definitely let y'all know like when these meetings typically happen, so that you can have a better idea, because we want people who are able to attend the meetings to be in the committees. Otherwise, it doesn't work out. So we want to make it the best option, so that it's things that you're interested in, as well as times that you're able to actually go to the meetings. So we'll definitely like focus, and I make a spreadsheet and we'll get it tight don't worry.
Thank you, Nadine. And we at the Office of Campus Life heavily rely on the student veterans, really. Well, the students, senators who are veterans in this position, because we are not participants. Well, I certainly haven't been a participant on Senate, or to tell you the truth, as a student, I only was a participant of the Tech Fee Committee as a student, and this was a while ago. But I was never a participant of the auxiliary because I wasn't part of the student government or the association. So a lot of what happens in there, I really am not aware. Okay, I'm just telling you what are the governing rules for all of these committees, including Senate, but the reality might be slightly different, right? All right, so we're done talking about committees. Committees are, like I said, for both SGA, Executive Board and Student Legislative Assembly. Those are very important. And well, we discussed the major committees. There are some other committees that you will be invited to. It depends, really. Maybe the president wants to have a special committee with you guys to talk about whatever the president wants to talk about. Or maybe you will be invited to search committees for positions, you know, a VP resigns or something. Then you will be invited to participate in those. Or they bring a new, I don't know, some proposal, some new program, and they want your input. And so you will be invited into those committees. Those are not usually budget allocating or you know, legislation is not done through there, but they want, you know, as a student leaders, a student government, you represent the student in every sense. And so you will probably be the first ones to be invited into committees that require student input.
Dave, let me give you a little few minutes break, because then it's almost 3:30 and I want to make sure we go through the agenda. This is a crazy amount of stuff. And David, what David is telling you and Nadine said is super important. So you know some of the committees, but I also just realized we were not really following a lot of stuff on the agenda. So let me just pull up the agenda, because I want to I don't think we're going to get you out at 4, so don't worry. And like Nadine said, sometimes when you have so much stuff going on, you forget like a lot of the stuff, right? Let me show you something that I saw is next on the, well, this is the agenda, right? This is the SGA agenda. So we welcomed you. What we want to do is we want to just show you. So here's the thing about this. The Lehman cabinet is who makes up the cabinet? You know, we want to introduce you to the folks in the cabinet. Normally you would have had a retreat where you would meet these folks in person, and hopefully things will go well with COVID and we could meet them. You're gonna go to a retreat in the spring. But next we just want to show you who are the main members. That's like 2 minutes, but I just want to show you a face and name. So if you see them in a meeting, you'll know, and you'll also know who is responsible for what. And then like we were talking about committees, and there are Senate committees, and there are also campus committees, and we're going to go through some of this and maybe start to draft out who wants to be in whichever committee. There is one committee that it's not a draft though. It's this one that's highlighted, the Faculty Student Disciplinary Committee. And I will tell you a little bit about that. It's 6 students that they asked to be on that. And well, let me show you the cabinet first, and then we'll go back to that. And then Dave, maybe we could then show them then we can put people like draft an ideal of what the committees will look like. I thought I had the cabinet up here. Okay, here we go. Let me just share it so you'll see who is who. There we go. So This is the president's cabinet. I think you all know we have a brand new president who will be starting in July. His name is Fernando Delgado, and he is on the Lehman banner. You can see him. But for the meantime, the school has a lawyer, and her name is Bridget Barbara. Her interest is mainly in protecting the school from getting sued. Let's be real. Then there is and you will not really have, in most cases, too much interaction with Bridget Barbara, because she is, you see it here, she is the counsel to the president, but she's a member of the cabinet. Ronald Bergman is very, very student friendly. He is like a VP who is probably one of the most chill VPs. Like when you meet him, you say, "Hi, VP Bergman," and he'll be like, "Please call me Ron." Like he's that cool. He is the one who runs the tech fee committees. He is the one who led the whole thing of giving laptops to people through COVID. He supervises the library. All of those things are under his purview. So the reason I'm telling you this is so you know who the umbrella, who oversees what, so you'll understand who to approach with different things. So if you have a technology issue, an issue with the library, or you want to have a question about printing or better laptops or better Wi-Fi, Ron Bergman is the person that you're going to talk to. Susan Ebersol is the person who is in charge of something called the Lehman College Foundation. Every campus has a foundation office, and a foundation office is an office that raises money for the campus. So when you click onto the Lehman homepage right now, you're going to see something called like a gala. It's green and it talks about a gala. That's one of their fundraising efforts, and one of the main things they're trying to do is bring in money into the campus. Now, this particular office was very helpful for us during COVID times because they were able to raise money, and for us in the Lehman College Food Pantry. So for us in the Office of Campus Life, we oversee the food pantry, clubs, organizations, the leadership center. And so they helped us raise money for the food pantry so much that we were able to give out over $107,000 in Target gift cards to students. They also helped get emergency funding. They recently got a grant called the Robin Hood Grant, and that's for students who are undocumented or international, because when the CARES money came to the campus, all international students and undocumented students didn't get it. So because the foundation office got this grant and they had money, we were able to give students money. So she is in charge of fundraising.
Also said one thing. No, keep your screen up.
Sorry.
So I just want to make a clear distinction. So Lehman College Foundation, right? Differently from the other committees that we discussed, Lehman Auxiliary Enterprise and Lehman Association, it might be kind of, what's the difference between a foundation and association and so on? Okay, so the foundation, their monies come from donations. They are not really giving any services. They are not selling, they're not giving services for hire or for anything. Their purpose is to just collect donations. So it's different from auxiliary or it's not possible for fees. And as far as I know, the board that controls those funds don't have students in them, as far as I know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct, Dave. Pauline doesn't have a picture here, but she is in charge of all the communications of Lehman College. So whatever goes out in the news media, she is the one responsible for it. Dawn Erin Morgan is the person in charge of any kind of diversity or human resources thing that comes up. So she used to be in charge of Title IX, which I think we'll talk about a little bit, which is sexual harassment, workplace violence, different things like that. Dawn is the person who oversees this. Gladys is the chief of staff, coordinates all of this stuff. Peter Wosu, the N is silent, okay? And this is the provost. So something to keep in the back of your mind is that the provost is the one who is second to the VP. So we are gonna, I'm sorry, the provost is the one who's second to the president. So the president is really the head of the cabinet, and then he has vice presidents, but all the vice presidents are not really equal. The provost is if anything happens to the president, the provost runs the show. The provost supervises all the deans, all the chairs, all the faculty. He is the one who makes decisions about what goes on in the classroom. So, and he also supervises student affairs, okay? Renee Rotolo is the person who is in charge of campus facilities and finances. So when you go to the association and the auxiliary board and any kind of money decision that happens on campus, she oversees that. All the construction that happens on campus, she oversees that.
And public safety.
And public safety, yeah. So a lot of the decisions about how we're going to go back to campus and how is that going to be hybrid and how they're going to keep the campus clean, all of that is Renee Rotolo. And for the campus facilities officer, you may have a few meetings with her. Renee, who is the second Renee, is in charge of enrollment. Renee Sarmiento, she's the vice president of enrollment, and she is in charge of recruiting students to come to campus. I know we have a transfer student or someone who talked about being a transfer student on the call. And she is the one, Renee is the one who really coordinates bringing students into the campus. If we don't have students, we really don't have business. The school is not going to exist. And that's a lot of her role. Now, she oversees a lot of stuff. She oversees advising and tutoring and a lot of admissions programs is Renee Sarmiento. This person, Jermaine Wright, is probably a face that you want to remember because he is our vice president for student affairs. So the Office of Campus Life, like our office, reports to him. And because you are student government, technically, you also would report to him. Well, not report, but it's good for you to know you're elected by the student body, which means you're free to make your own decisions. But usually the student affairs vice president is kind of like a person who you are congenial with, because this is somebody who can advocate for you. Your first step should always be us in campus life, but then he also is someone who you can have an advocate in. So I think that's the cabinet. The point again of showing you that is just so you know who's in charge of what. You're going to see their faces, so we just wanted you to be familiar with it.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out about student affairs, and we always talk about student affairs. A lot of what you are going to be doing relates to student affairs things, because you are serving the students and you are concerned about their well-being or classes or everything. A lot of what you do relates to student affairs, and that's why the student affairs office and the vice president, of course, and us are involved with you, because you do deal a lot of what changes or what improvements. You bring the concerns from the students to us, who usually are the first ones or the only ones really that should be addressing those issues. For the most part, there are certain issues that, of course, you saw all these different vice presidents, they address different issues, but student affairs is a big deal for student government. Anyways, okay, so can you bring the agenda again, please?
Okay, David, can I please talk about this faculty student disciplinary committee for 2 seconds? I know you have the order here. We're now in like the to-do list of making this is where we are. I think that right. the filling out the W-9, which Nate sent.
Yeah, I think I want to, let's talk about the to-do list and of course, filling out all of these committees.
Okay. Could we first talk about when we're talk about filling out this stuff, but when we're talking about committees, the most urgent one for CUNY Central is this one, the faculty disciplinary one, just as a FYI, okay?
Okay. Let me see. I don't know if I made it.
What is that a committee of?
Right, well, Suzanne, you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
sure.
Thank you. So the Faculty Student Disciplinary Committee is a committee that meets if there is a discipline, what they call a disciplinary issue with a student, and that is a wide description. It could be plagiarism. It could be somebody who who was kind of threatening or bullying to another student. It could be sexual harassment. Usually what this faculty student, I am a member of the faculty student disciplinary committee, or what we basically do is we hear the student side, and then we hear the person who, you know, the harm was done to their side. So if it was plagiarism, for example, the professor would say, okay, the student didn't cite properly and he outrageously plagiarized. And then the student would say something like, I didn't know I was plagiarizing. I thought that I cited it. So we would listen to the 6 students. There are a few faculty members who are also on the committee. We listen, and then we basically come up with I want to say a verdict, like I'm Judge Judy, but we do come up with some kind of suggestion that we think the student was innocent and didn't realize was something like that. And so they need 6 students for that. The thing you have to keep in mind, and I want you to keep this in mind, they need 6 students for this. And my suggestion is that the 6 students be senators. This committee just does not meet often. Like I've been at Lehman for 10 years, and I've been in this committee for 4 years, and we've only met twice. So it's not like a serious commitment. This is a great committee to be a part of, because it's not like a big involvement, but also if you are involved, it helps you you can be an advocate for students. So if you are interested in this, please drop your name in the chat, because I have to submit that to the Office of Student Affairs actually today. I'm sorry, I only just found out yesterday about this. Okay, Dave, sorry, you can go ahead, Dave.
Yes. So as Suzette said, yeah, this committee doesn't meet often, and it's not that every case of student disciplinary issue goes to this committee. Okay, usually the college tries to de-escalate any situation and to deal in a different way. But when both parties don't really want to come into an agreement, or there is a severe case of plagiarism that it's not an error, it wasn't a mistake, but it really goes through here. And we need students because, of course, it's kind of like a court, a hearing, and you need your peers there to.
Are we the deciders on this committee, or are we just making a recommendation?
You make the consensus makes a recommendation, and then it's the last time I was on this committee, there was actually like a real lawyer, but a part of the way. So wait, let me look at you when I'm talking, only because I want to. It's pretty serious, because the way how it's, I don't know, the bureaucracy set up is that we make a recommendation, but you're making it with the faculty and staff that's there. So they would say, Aria, what do you think? And then Felipe, what do you think about this? And they take everybody's opinion, and everybody kind of decides. Sometimes that takes an hour, let me be honest, of what we should do. And then we make a recommendation, and then CUNY Central actually sends a lawyer up. And that committee tells CUNY Central that the Lehman College Faculty Student Disciplinary Committee recommends this. And that's what the lawyer uses to advocate for what the Lehman campus decides. It's
an actual legal proceeding, yes.
So there's a possibility our recommendation could be ignored.
As far as I know, it's you are kind of like a jury.
Yeah, because it's very serious. I mean, I know that this committee they record it, like you don't, so not really, like legally they can't ignore your committee. They are recording everything that the person says.
Yeah. So, is their decision binding is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I think it's decision binding.
Okay.
They're going to put you through you're going to go through a training where they tell you what it is, comes from student affairs. Good question, though.
Jada, yes.
I wanted to say something because REA, it's REA, right? I just made me remember something that I wanted to mention about committees in general, not this specific one that Susan's talking about, but any committee that you guys are going to go on this semester. I wanted to just say that even if you're the only student or one of 3 students on a really big committee and there's like a ton of faculty or staff or other members, external members on the committee, I want you guys to know that your opinion is supposed to weigh the most. So once you know that, they act correctly, they recognize that. So even if you're the only person on the committee, when I was there by myself, you know, I'm not saying people are not going to try to dismiss you, REA, because it does happen. People are people, but just remember that you're the student. So if they really try to do that, you just know how to come correct afterwards. So when you guys go there, just don't get discouraged by, you know, very particular people. Don't want to scare you, but there's particular people everywhere you go. If you come across those particular people that try to shut you down or dismiss you, just know you can eat them alive, not literally, but just know you can go back at them and be like, hey, I'm the MVP here. Did you forget or did you forget? You know, just wanted to say that.
Yeah,
No,
that's-
she's 100% correct. And the other thing is, in OCL, and Jada can attest it, we pretty much keep it real. So we don't, I mean, we do have like phone conversations about things where we kind of help you along the way. So you're not gonna be by yourself. So may I say that I have 5 people: Felipe, Ari, Nahisha, Bernard, Princess. I need 1 more person, please. And then that's it. And I'll copy you on the email when I'm sending it to Student Affairs, don't worry.
like we said, you might never meet.
That would be the best circumstance, you know.
Actually, there was a student who is not in student government, but wanted to run for student government just to be on this committee.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't know. That student didn't.
I mean, it's sad if we have to discipline someone. I'm not saying to be lazy. I'm saying it's sad if we have to discipline someone.
I do have
Yeah.
a question. For the executive board, are there more meetings required on top of the Senate meetings?
Okay, so no. Okay, so let's make a distinction.
Sure.
SLA has their meetings, their 3 meetings per month. That's only senators, only SLA. The executive board has at least once a month meetings, right? Only with the executive board. And whatever meetings you sign up for meaning these different committees, the association, the auxiliary enterprise, or the tech fee, or there are other ones like childcare and so on. Whatever they meet, you have to meet. But it's for the executive board, it's a minimum of 1 meeting per month, a total of 10 meetings throughout the year.
Okay.
And those meetings have to be published, like we said before, has to be announced and publicly available, and anyone can come and join your meeting, even though they don't have polling power. But because you're dealing, especially the executive board, because you're dealing with their money and it's public funds. Julissa would like to join the committee. So yeah, it's important, but it's only 1 meeting per month minimum. But of course, yes, Nahisha?
Oh, I have a question. How many committees are we allowed to be in?
In all of them, if you want to. But I think the student senators who are going to be part of the executive board, they have the potential to sign up for more committees than anyone else, because of course you participate in the Senate and in the executive board, but you don't have to. But I think every single one of you should sign up for at least 1 committee, either in the Senate or as in one of those budgetary committees, or because there's a lot of work, and if you are not participating, that means more work for your fellow SGA members. And remember, not every seat in both SGA, the executive board, and the SLA are filled. So each of you will have to carry, the in your shoulders, really, the task of those missing students, So yeah.
Dave, I want to make a suggestion, because the way that that Hapatia did it in the last SGA with Jada. I think that was good. Like what they did, David Collard can probably do this. He made like a big master sheet, basically.
Right.
Had everyone's names and he had the various committees that they were on. So you can just have like a list, all of you can see who's in what committees. And so that way you know you're sharing it out evenly, because you are also in school, and no matter what, your schoolwork is your priority. That's what we want you to focus on. We don't want you to get worn down, like, you know, going to millions of meetings and stuff. We want you to end your term as friends and still doing really well academically.
That's right. I just wanted to quickly show you that the CUNY bylaws defines the student disciplinary procedures. It's a long text if you want to read it. And let's go back to so this is something that I wanted to do and to bring you to your awareness. This document that I sent you has a checklist. It's by no means complete, but it has several of the things that you should be doing during the summer. So, of course, one of the things is complete your paperwork. Nate sent you a W-9 form that you have to complete and sign and send back to Nate so you can get paid. Okay. The specific amounts vary by the positions, but it usually is monthly, and it starts, I believe, September, or August. I don't remember. But it's by each of the meetings that you attend. For the executive board, each of your executive board meetings, and for the senators, for each of the Senate meetings that you attend. Okay. Start thinking about the calendar of events, programs that you are going to have for this coming year. You don't have to have, it doesn't have to be set in stone, right? But start thinking about what is it that you would like to bring. You have, we don't have the budget just yet defined, but assume it's about $200,000. Actually, let me reword that, $100,000. I'm saying $100,000 because half of that money, the $200,000, $100,000 goes to the clubs. And in this executive board, there is a committee called the Committee for Co-Curricular Development, known as CCD. Is there a question? So, I don't know where the chat is. Anyways, okay. So, so that committee, CCD, controls $100,000, and it's only composed by you guys, student government. It's only 5 students, 2 senators, 3 executive board members. And you will be hearing other students' proposals, similar to what the entire college sends to the association or tech fee or whatever. You have your own small committee that controls $100,000, and you receive proposals from student clubs, and you approve their budgets. Anyways, so $100,000 for your programming. And when is your first formal meeting? This month, okay? That's for both executive board and SLA, Student Legislative Assembly. You have to have your first meeting this month. And during this month, during that meeting, the executive board has to approve all the other meetings that will happen during the year. It's 10 meetings in total. It doesn't have to be done immediately, but you have to approve a budget. This $100,000 that I was telling you about, you have to tell us, this is how we want to spend it. We want $10,000 on commencement ceremony, like a senior ball. We want $10,000 on spring festivities. We want $10,000 on, I don't know, let's say Mother's Day, I don't know. Whatever it is that you want to, or Thanksgiving, or so all of those programs have to be funded, and you have to itemize those budget. Nate, yes.
So in the vein of what David is talking about, of things you need to do at your first meeting, I would like to meet with you guys at least once, if not twice before that, to kind of iron out an estimate of how much your budget is, how it is currently allocated based on last year's allocations and ideas you guys have throughout the semester, so that when we actually get to the June meeting, which I would gather which probably should be towards the end of this month, is just approving what we've already worked on. All right, and I'll break down also during those at least 1 or 2 meetings how much each stipend position is, when you'll receive your stipends, how many stipends there are. There are 8 stipends throughout the academic year, and any other questions you guys have about the budget. So I'll send out a doodle poll next week, in the beginning of next week, to try to see what times work best for you guys so that we can get working on that. All right.
How are how are the meetings decided? Well, you guys have to talk between you guys and decide what is a convenient time and date for you to meet. Like Nate said, I think you should meet at the end of the month. I think it will give you more time to prepare for reading the materials and feel more comfortable about what is it that you want to commit for. Anyways, present your tentative calendar. These two are kind of together. Your events have a date and they also have a budget. So these two kind of go together. And I said here, you should book facilities with us. That will not happen. Well, at least we are not, because we are just reopening the campus. We cannot book anything just yet, but that will come eventually, okay? Okay, so the president, Gio, will have to have, during that meeting, have to say who will be the secretary and office manager, select a parliamentarian for approval of the board. So this is within your constitution, but Gio is going to select those 2 students, okay? Also, within that first meeting, you are going to select 4 students, 2 USS representatives and 2 alternates, 4 students to USS. Briefly, what USS is the University Student Senate, I'm sorry, University Student Senate. There is actually a fee that you guys pay for this University Student Senate. I don't remember how much it was. I think it's $15 or so. But you send, every CUNY college sends 4 students to this USS body, and what they basically do, they control those funds on behalf of the entire CUNY population, not only one college, but the entire CUNY. So, so that needs to be decided then, and we will talk more about USS later, but it's a CUNY-wide organization. And the SAC representative, we don't have to talk about it right now, but there's a committee within the athletic division that that participates also in your committees, and you're just inviting them. So that's for the executive board. Okay, your first meeting, all of this needs to be done. For the SLA, like the executive board, all your 10 meetings, who is the vice chair and legislative coordinator, that needs to be voted on that same day. Who are going to be the 4 senators that are going to be working in the executive board, and this should be capital. And then 2 senators who are going to be participating in this committee, the CCD. That's the committee that decides the budget for the student clubs. Okay, this $100,000. So we need 2 senators for that committee. And of course, you're going to be talking about which senators go to which Senate committee, standing committees in that meeting, as Nadine pointed out earlier. And then in your following meeting, so this is the June meeting. So that's the first meeting that's happening this month. And during your August meeting, you have proposed, or you have talked about your budgets and events. In your August meeting, although these were proposals and tentative calendar, in your August meeting, you will have to approve them, actually finalize them. Exact dates of programming. We are going to be having a, I don't know, welcome to the college campus day. I don't know, a club fair, exact dates, times, locations, budget. That needs to be approved, okay? So your calendar needs to be approved. The appointment to the various committees, association, auxiliary, tech fee, and so on, okay? Now, this doesn't have to be done during this particular meeting. It could be done earlier if you guys are ready, but you don't have to, okay? And let me see. Oh, this is important. CERC, you have to appoint, or not appoint, you have to recommend 2 students, not you, not student government, 2 students who are not related to student government, who are not trying to run for student government, who are not interested in student government at all, but who would like to serve as in this committee is called the Student Elections Review Committee. They are the ones who run the election and part of that committee. And we need those students because we need to have special elections, right? So that's later during the summer. And consequent meetings, of course, will approve further initiatives that you decide. Okay, so that's your task for the summer. You have a June meeting, and those are your tasks. And for the for August meeting, these are your tasks. Okay, hopefully that makes it easier to have it in this list. I know that that's not a complete list, and we will for sure be in contact with you regarding anything that we may need. Aria, yes.
I have some questions.
Yes.
So will those 2 happen at the same time, or will they be at different times? But I know in general they'll be at different times, but will that one, because the executive board won't be fully formed until the SLA elects the 4 senators, right?
Right. Actually, the executive board could meet now, right, without the 4 senators. They have enough members to run their meetings, right? Ideally, the executive board meetings and the SLA meetings shouldn't be at the same time, because ideally you would want the executive board to also be in the SLA, even though they are not voting members, at least to listen in, and vice versa, the senators to be participants of the executive board meetings, even though they are not voting members, because you are one. I mean, you are hand in hand, right? There is actually a requirement for both parts, the executive board and the SLA, to have a meeting at least once per semester, where you discuss common concerns and activities. But once per semester. All right. So of course there is so much more to say, but I think we are close to 4 p.m. and thank you for coming.
I mean, Dave, let's also tell them, like, I know David we told you a lot of stuff. And then we ended by like, okay, Gio, it's all on you. We got to get 10 meetings. We got to get events. We have to put people in committees. So we come to every one of your meetings. And so we will definitely be like, whatever, we're happy to help with these things. Like, look how quickly we got the people for the faculty disciplinary committee. We can start drafting that stuff out early. Gio, you and the team will decide what works for you, but I think every Friday, not every Friday for the rest of our lives, but maybe next Friday and another Friday, just 2 more Fridays, we can do it. It doesn't have to be 2 to 4, maybe 2 to 3. And we can break it up in little pieces. Like we can spend the next week, Friday, 2 to 3, talking a little bit about like which committee you want to be on. And we can make it like it's a dialogue or something like that. like we said, and the other thing is, we're happy to help. The other thing is, we'll send you our phone numbers too, so we are also accessible. Maybe you have a question for us. When we were in Student Life Building, people would just walk. We had an open door policy. You just walk into our office and ask these questions, and now it's kind of weird and hard because you're like, I don't know if I'm invading their space. We're not like that. You can call us. We'll send you I'll send you my number. I'm offering everybody's. But just let us know, okay? But we want to create this open forum minimally every Friday.
And don't feel ashamed or to ask any questions. Even if I have to do this presentation all over, I will do it. Okay. So please don't be afraid or ashamed to reach out, because if you are successful, the entire college is successful and we look good. Special elections. They will have to be decided with those students that you guys select for CERC. I cannot make those dates without students. So those dates will be posted hopefully in early August.
Yeah.
So Maya, sorry, Nadine, you want to say something?
Oh yeah. I just wanted to make it clear that for people who want to join us, and we'll happily have people join us throughout the summer so that they can learn and continue to grow with us, and then they will have to take part in the election. So you can't officially join us, but you're welcome to join us. And if for some odd reason you don't get elected, you can still be a part of us. It's not if anybody wants to join us, you're always welcome in the capacity. But until that special election happens, which David just said won't happen until after CERC meets, that you won't be officially a part of SGA.
So Maya, do you have a question? And then I have just one thing, which has nothing to do with student government, but it has to do with a job that there are 4 jobs available in the registrar's office. And basically they just asked me to recommend people who want to do that job. I don't know I think the job is not a major thing, maybe just more like front desk stuff. And it might be $17 an hour. So if you are interested, please email me your resume and I'll just forward it to them.
So Maya?
Oh yeah. I just want to ask if there is a student who interested to be part of SGA. Is there a chance to fill the application and let them run for the position, or no? There is no more availability.
No, so there will be, so that's what the special elections are for. So in September, we're going to have special elections. They're called special because the current students who are elected, you guys, are going to continue serving until the end of the academic year 21-22. Especially because we are filling vacancies in the executive board and the student legislative assembly. So we are selecting students, even though the year started, we are asking students to participate because there are vacancies. So now the form will open up in September, most likely. I can only decide those dates and the times and of the elections with the students who are going to be part of CERC. And you guys are going to select those 2 students. Maybe you have a friend who may not be interested in student government, but maybe interested in serving the college. And CERC it's very minimal. I keep it very minimal. Only once per year meeting, or 2 at most, and everything else is through email. But we will open the form September. Yes.
Thank you so much.
No problem. All right, guys. I think we will definitely email you with our availability on Fridays at 2. We will be available for you guys. Whoever wants to come and have further questions, we can discuss how you guys are feeling about anything really.
Do we have to do the W-9 right now?
Sorry?
When do we have to do the W-9 by?
As soon as possible. But I mean, the first payment, I think it's September, but
Because
we don't want to miss it.
it's just there's two. Do we have to fill out both of them?
Nate would probably be able to answer that question. Nate, because I believe it's only one document. It's the W-9 form only asks for your name, address, and I think your signature. And of course your social security.
I'm sorry. What was the question?
You sent 2 documents?
I went into, the whole thing. There's 2 documents.
Right. So there's a W-9, and then the other document is for direct deposit.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So they do ask for a lot of the same information. The only difference is on the direct deposit, they ask for banking. Also, in addition to that document, they're going to ask for either a bank statement or a voided check. You would just scan or download a PDF and upload that to the folder as well. Also, additionally, someone from Campus Activities is going to call and do an e-pay validation of that bank account, and make sure that the voided check or bank statement that you include corresponds with the information that you put on the direct deposit form. Okay? Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions. Yes.
Yeah, for the W-9, do we fill that too by ourselves?
Yes.
So it's kind of asking for entity type and stuff like that, and what are you supplying to CUNY? So I'm kind of confused on what to put for that part.
You just put other and just put SGA or SLA senator, SGA officer or SLA, and then most of you would just be hold on, let me open up. No, that's not the form.
Nate, just
Yes.
a question. For SLA and like officers who haven't been elected yet, should we wait until we have our?
No, because this has no bearing on how much you get paid. This is just making sure that you're in the system.
Okay.
Do I have the option to share my screen? Because if I do,
Question, we also filled the substitute one, right?
yes, substitute W-9, which is this form, everybody can see it, right? Entity type, here just actually put individual sole proprietor, and here other services, just put SLA or SGA, okay?
I have another bank question, please.
Yes.
Okay, for those who are receiving unemployment, do we, is this like a real job that avoid us from receiving unemployment? Or
No, it's not considered like a payroll job. You don't receive taxes on this. This is a student stipend.
Okay, so it's okay to keep applying for or claim for
Yes.
employment benefit.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Bernard was asking about a Lehman password regarding this.
Yeah, so I was trying to log in.
Yeah, if they ask you to log in, just use your Lehman College credentials, the same credentials you use to sign into the email, and you should get in. If you have problems after that, just let me know, and I'll find another way to get you the documents.
Okay, so we're filling 3 forms, not 2.
Yeah, the 2 that I sent you, and then you're gonna upload either like I said, a voided check or a current bank statement.
Okay, so just to be clear, it's the substitute W-9 and then the other one.
And then the CUNY direct deposit form. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions?
I can't type on this. What should I do? Should I download it? What should I do?
It depends on if you have
Nate.
yeah.
If you give me those PDFs, I can send it to them so that it's fillable through their phones.
Okay.
I don't know if that's student activities would like, but
no, that's fine.
Okay, so I will send it to you so you guys can fill it out in your phones and actually sign it in your phones as well with your finger.
Yes, that would be great because I have more than 20 names, and it's
No
always
problem.
difficult for me to log into the Lehman credentials because my name is 3 and it's so long. So I always have a problem when logging in and stuff
No
like that.
worries. We'll do that for sure. I'll just get these documents and I'll send it to you by the end of today. All right.
Well, it was a pleasure meeting all of you guys. We'll see you next week, same time, same station. Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
David, I'm sorry. I actually had a question. I went out for a bit, but for the electives, not the electives, executives, when are we gonna set up the dates to meet up?
Set the what? I'm sorry.
Set up the dates to meet up for the executive board.
Oh well, that's
I'll let you know, Renuma.
exactly.
Thank you.
So Gio, because he's the president, he's going to be leading all of those conversations. So yeah, just follow his lead.
Okay, gotcha.
All
You're
right.
doing great, Gio. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Gio.
Bye. Where is my boom?
David, I'm gonna speak with Esther really quickly.
Oh,
on
sure,
this
no
line.
problem.
All right.
All right. All right.
Is
So Maya.
Samaya still there?
Yes.
So we need the I'm sorry, we need the Zoom. If you don't mind. Because the training already ended.
Sorry, I don't.
Oh no,
Yeah.
so we need you to leave the Zoom meeting.
Okay, okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be rough.
Okay, enjoy
All
the
right.
best of your day. Bye.
Thank you for coming.
You too.
All right, Nate. So I'll make you host. So
Right. Could you stop the recording?
Oh yes.